Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Delighted you could join us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and of course hit the bell, and you'll get all the notifications of when we are live, and of course our new unique video content when it drops on the programme. And if you want to stay up to date with all of Scottish football and beyond, then download PLZ Soccer's app in Google Play and in the App Store. And you can also interact with us on submissions, and we'll read out quite a lot of your emails. Simple as that. Great to have you on this Thursday. Tam Cowan and 70-year-old Alan Ruff. Hey. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ruffy. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
I bet you wish you could have heard that.
Yeah. It's hit you hard, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I could handle 40 and 50 and 60, but 70 is a big one.
Yeah.
You know,
but you look
69 was your big one.
Yeah, but you look great. You look great. You look great for
yeah, I find that. I feel all right.
Yeah.
I feel all right just now, anyway. You know, but it's. If I can get to 80, I'll be doing well, I think.
Well, to be fair, Ruffy, at the amount of people that have mentioned to me that, you know, just punters in the street, lots of, you know, your friends and the football fraternity are just, you know, just pass on my best wishes. I know it's his birthday. I think a lot of people, it's good that a lot of people, you know, look at you with great fondness and just want to wish you a happy birthday. I'm sure you've had millions yourself to your face.
Yeah, I certainly have. I'd like to thank them as well. It's great, you know, that there's that many people, a lot of people who watch the show, obviously, you know, and it's good, you know, people from around the world, Toronto and the likes. And
it's a national holiday today in Peru. Did you know that?
Is it? What about
Iran? But to be fair, I mean, lots of people, thanks to Peter Waters as well, and lots of other people, Stuart Ramsey, Conrad, there's everybody, Willie Laidlaw, Stuart, Ronnie Chapman, everybody wishing you a happy birthday. There's thousands coming through who, obviously, 70 is a fantastic year, and it's great. I mean, we've got to do the presents. Are we going to do the presents?
We'll do the presents, absolutely. Later on, with your kind permission, I'd put up a wee photo of the three of us to wish Ruffy a happy birthday up on Instagram, and I asked my followers what would be a suitable present for Ruffy. So if you can take a chance of me reading something later on,
we can do that. We can definitely.
Right, we'll do these in any particular order.
No, just fire in.
Right, there we go.
Right.
There's a wee.
So this is a nice wee one.
This is from
Anne, who's our producer.
I have to apologise. I'm hopeless.
What?
Opening presents nicely.
No, you don't want to. Don't worry about the paper.
Old VHS porno.
Is it?
There isn't a Anne Summers. There's nothing for Anne Summers, is there?
No, there's nothing. And this is good.
Oh, fantastic. Big golfer, yep.
You happy with that?
Is there pictures in it? Yeah.
Yep, there are pictures in it.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
What is it?
It's a caddy, it's an American caddy in St Andrews I think it's just a golfing book with a lot of humour in it, obviously. Golfing humour. Yeah. Which is
you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm more than happy with that.
Stick that there, Ruffy. This is the next one, which again is from all the PLZ. Oh, that's from Tam.
That's from Tam. We'll give you that. That's what I know you'll like, right? You can just.
Oh, thank you.
But it was a good start.
Oh, thank you, 10.
There we go. I know you'll put that to good use.
Fantastic.
He's fair.
Oh, wonderful.
Come on, open that.
That's a favourite.
Can you imagine us all? This is from the entire PLZ Soccer team in the back there. So you've got Craig, you've got Cheryl, you've got Gordon, you've got Gabriel, you've got Anne. All the team that make it all happen in the background. I think that's we thought you might like this, Ruffy, because of the tennis.
Yes, I can use this in tennis.
And it's Lacoste.
Yep, I can use it for the golf and also the bowls.
Yeah, you can use it for the bowls as well. You happy with that?
Yeah, more than happy. Thank you very much to everybody behind.
And the biggie, this is from me because I thought,
this is beautiful. Peter,
you can do the honours here, Ruffy.
You need to show it to the cameras, Mike.
That's the other thing, Ruffy. You'll need to show it to the cameras.
You need to open it the right way around as well.
It is the right way around.
It is the right way around. Okay, so there you are, Ruffy. There it is.
It's no photo of Zico, is it?
No. no, you've seen enough of
it. Could be.
You've seen enough of him. Are you happy with that, Ruffy?
Oh, it's upside down.
Yeah, it's upside down, but which you've been on a number of occasions when Adair chipped you. You happy with that?
Wonderful.
That's good, isn't it?
And I know exactly what that photograph was taken from.
Yeah.
It's a Scotland-Wales game.
Is that right?
Yep. Over in Wales. and it's wonderful.
And we've got it all framed for you because Jim Scullion did a special one-off, and it looks magnificent.
It
doesn't
is absolutely fantastic.
Beautiful frame. That can
Will that go in the hall?
That'll be in the hall, yep. I'll
Yep.
have to move a couple of things about, maybe move a couple of the World Cup ones,
Yeah.
you know, and just get that in.
Okay,
Yep.
stick that over there, Ruffy. You've had a good birthday so far, I'm sure.
Brilliant.
And you're going out with your family tonight, aren't you?
Yes, my sons are over for San Diego, so he's over, and my daughters will be there, and Maggie, obviously. So if you're in the town tonight, you can look out for us.
Where are they taking you?
We're going to Atlantic Brasserie.
The Atlantic Brasserie.
Yes.
Maybe not a good idea to mention that, just in case there's people who don't like Ruffy.
However, Mario Gates, close
Yes.
personal friend of mine.
Yes, yes.
I'm sure he'll look after you as well.
Yes, yes, I'm sure he will.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully, if he's there.
Ruffy, there's obviously something we've got at
Lap dancing after?
70.
I think it'll be Opal Lounge, I think.
70 years of age. Everybody remembers you from the playing days, so we ask quite a lot of people to send in pictures of you at your absolute best. So this is magnificent, Ruffy. What about the first one? Let's have a wee. So that's you.
Hibs.
Yeah. Were you good then? Were you still
That is the
playing well?
picture. That is the picture. It's in the Hall of Fame at Hibs. As you go up the steps at Hibs,
Wow.
that is the actual picture that's on the wall.
I wonder if you can name the Motherwell player who's on the left-hand side of you.
I think I know who it is.
Go on then.
See if Tam can
Tam,
get it.
can you get that? The Motherwell player? Left side?
Centre half.
Yep.
What year did you say it was?
I'd be around about 80, 85, 86.
It wasn't Gregor Stevens, was it?
No.
He came back about 84, 85. Can I see it again?
Yeah, can you see it again?
Oh, I
Let's
don't
have-
like getting these right.
Yeah, left-hand side, yeah. I might be wrong with this one, Ruffy, then, if you're saying it's 85. I thought it was maybe 88,
If you tell me
89.
who
No,
I
couldn't
think
be
it is.
89.
No, it's not 88.
Right, who do you think it is?
Who do you think it is?
I think it's Craig Patterson.
Yes, I think it's Craig Patterson.
No, it's not Craig Patterson, no. I thought it looked more like Derek Murray. You mean Derek Murray?
No.
Left back, he was at Dundee United, and then he came to Motherwell, good
I
penalty
thought
taker.
it looked like...
Well, anyway, that's the Hibs one. That's
Thank
not
you.
a bad one,
That's a
Ruffy.
good
What about
one,
the next one, the next picture of you, which is, again, this one is more of the Ruffy that I remember.
That is the...
That is a Hartford with you?
It is a one. I hope it wasn't it.
Do you remember that photograph?
Yes, I do. That was a promotional World Cup for, I'm looking at the ball, it looks like Argentina. That
Yes.
was 78. And it was Sheena, I think her name was.
Yeah.
Just a modelling shot.
Is she still right?
Does she still work?
What?
Is she still right to you?
No, I think she's probably moved on.
Right, okay. And the next one is another one of you, Ruffy. You're there with, I can only think it's a mask. Happy birthday, Ruffy. This is John Monaghan who says, this is me and you. He's a mascot for Fauldhouse Juniors, and he had to wear an Aberdeen top for some reason, but do you remember that?
Yep, I remember that clearly. That was Glenafton versus Fauldhouse in the Scottish Junior Cup, possibly a quarter-final game, and it was a photograph taken just before, I think we won 2-0 in that game.
Wow.
Good shout,
It's a
Ruffy,
memory.
good shout.
I didn't know you'd played with Glenafton.
I played
thought
for
you
a
only
year.
managed them.
I was 40, I played for a year.
Aye.
Player manager, yeah.
Did you like being player manager? Is it hard? It's a hard job, isn't it?
No, I can't. I don't think you can manage and play at the same time.
No, exactly. And this is what I call classic Ruffy after that, because this is when it all went haywire. I mean, what happened that you thought to yourself, I think I'll get a perm, it'll look dangerous?
It was Taylor Ferguson, the hairdresser in the town, who was way ahead of all the modern haircuts, and I think Kevin Keegan had one done already down in England, and he thought that if you got 3 Scottish footballers to come into the hairdressers, sit with curlers in your hair, that the rest of the supporters would join in, and he was very, very successful, because myself, you want to hazard a guess who the other 2 players were? Rangers and Celtic. One Rangers,
Well, I
one
know
Celtic.
Big Derek got it.
Big Derek got it that day with me, and
Danny McGrain?
And Danny McGrain. The 3 of us sat with rollers in our hair, and after that, I think Taylor made a fortune.
And this is another one, which is Ross McDonald is a tweet, and he just basically sums it all up. Ruffy, I don't think I've heard this joke before. Happy birthday, Ruffy. Absolute legend of Scottish football. Had the pleasure of meeting him a few times at sportsmen's dinners and gentlemen's nights. Some great stories. The Alan Rough Jim Leighton Doug joke in the pub is class, especially told by Ruffy himself. I have to say,
he does that one now, does he?
Oh, he does.
New material.
No, he does that. He does that. See that joke? I can't stand it.
And that's why I tell it. I know he hates it.
I see you've got to sit up next to him. You've got to put the big rictus grin as if you're enjoying it.
Tom, you've been there with me. You know the score with him. Anyway, it's good. Hey, listen. When I think about your career and all the things that you've done in the 70 years, I mean, it's been fantastic. League Cup when you were a youngster, you know, Hibs, Celtic, Scotland, Partick Thistle, 3 World Cups, radio pundit,
yes,
and then television, of course. It's been sensational, great tennis player, and
Bowls champion.
No, shut up, Bowls. Nobody's bothering. Anyway,
I did all that. Who'd believe that one day you'd get a $1.99 cake at the Tesco Express? Hey, look at that! What a miserable, shitty little cake for a man's 70th.
I know. I didn't want to burn the place down, to be honest with you. But anyway, you've got a cake as well. What more can we ask for? And good one here from Bob, who says even Joey Harper got a perm.
So he did, yeah. Joe did, yeah.
You were big pals with Joe.
David Proven.
David Proven did as well, yeah. You were big pals with
Joe. Myself, Joe and Derek Johnson, we went a bit together in Argentina.
Yeah.
We were big pals there, and it was good fun. But no, I'd like to thank everybody, obviously. You know, it's been a great, well, still here, obviously.
Well. Not a bad PK, still
yes.
Anyway,
there's a distinct whiff in the studio as well as
some kind of fluid. Anyway, apart from anything else, it's good to have you with us, Ruffy.
Let's be brutally honest, if we started this show, somebody watching for the first time, we said, right, ladies and gentlemen, one of us turned 70 a day. He need me third in the list, wouldn't he? Let's be brutally honest. You need to stop being so morbid.
Yeah, exactly. You're still looking great, Nick. But your old team's not. Ross County won, Hibs nil.
Yes.
I mean, come on, Ruffy, give me peace. What happened there?
I've said to you numerous occasions, midweek games are strange results, and you used to laugh at me. That again is another one, you know. But Malky will tell us it was coming. Malky will be telling everybody
Ruffy,
that result
I've got
was
Rangers
coming.
mates of mine who are giving it play out of their skin right in our faces, and then all of a sudden can't go up to Dingwall and beat the team bottom of the table.
Yeah, I know, it's a crazy game, football. You know, I think we all go to football games now, and Tam likes a wee bet now and again, if we were all betting certainties, then we wouldn't be sitting here.
Absolutely.
And that's what's so good about football. You know, you get results like that.
If they got to the bottom yet of the red card when the player was meant to have only been shouting and bawling about his own performance rather than screaming at the referee.
Well, again, that'll be dragged out. That'll come out in the next couple of days to see if we can get that resolved too. But the problem is, you now have Doidge and Boyle out of the game against Rangers because of the red cards.
Yeah,
unless there's an appeal.
Yeah, I've seen the Boyle one. I think he was out of order.
Was it?
There's too many fingers pointing at the referee, and he's the only one that knows what he said, and the referee's obviously said you can twist that round whatever way you want.
And you know what a slap in the dish for. I mean, Jack Ross is clearly take the League Cup, that amazing performance out of that, but Jack Ross will be feeling a wee bit of pressure, and there he's losing, it would appear, the man against Rangers who scored a hat-trick against him last week in half an hour. I mean, that's a sore one to take.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only that, I mean, Jack Ross himself after the game, I don't think he was making any excuses with regards to the performance of his side. This is what he had to say basically on the performance. We need to start winning league games. The run we are on is not acceptable for us as a club. It's not good enough for us. Not for the ambition we've had and the standards we have set. At half-time, I wasn't satisfied because we should have been ahead, but I felt it was a platform to go and win the game. I don't think in the second half we got the same performance level, and that's because we are a man down and chasing the game. And again, you know, it's always difficult at the best of times, but suddenly let's flip that and say well done to Ross County, because quite simply, that's them a point behind Dundee now, and the heat's on, Ruffy.
Yeah, we heard Charlie yesterday. Charlie, obviously just above Ross County, was hoping for a win for Hibs, you know, to keep them sort of down there. But that's certainly not only Dundee, but there's teams above Dundee are now looking over their shoulder because they've now closed that gap and the pressure's on everybody.
Yeah, I can tell you Hibs have ended Nathan Woods' loan deal. He's gone back to Middlesbrough, only played one game, and I think sometimes you take chances on loan deals for clubs from the Championship, maybe the Premier League if you're lucky in England, and if they turn out to be something special. I think I remember Aberdeen took James Maddison.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the loan system. I mean, so many clubs buy into it now, to the point that, you know, I reckon pretty soon the days of testimonials will be long since gone. You know, clubs.
Think so, Tom?
I think because, you know, I'm wondering when I'll see the next one at Motherwell, for example. We had a rake of them there over a period. We had Lasley, we had Cragen, we had Hamill, and then you go back just a few years and we had John Philibin, we had wee Dougie Arnott. But I think you get guys in and loan, they maybe come up for a season or two, they go back to their parent club, then you get the short-term deals, of course, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, the very thing about a one-club man, I think that's in the dim and distant past now.
Yeah, you had 2 testimonials, didn't you, Ruffy?
No, I had 1. I should have had 2, but somebody kiboshed it.
Yeah. Still, enough about Alec Miller. Let's move on. Europa League.
Were you at Hibs that long?
I was there for 6 years, but it was a deal of, well, you signed another 3 years, we don't have a lot of money, but we'll give you a testimonial at the end of the 3 years.
And it never happened?
Never happened.
Yeah.
Did you get anything for your birthday for Alec Miller?
No.
Still, it's good to know you've let it go. Anyway, Bayer Leverkusen.
Has let it go at 70.
That's 70 for you. Bayer Leverkusen against Celtic is one of the games alongside Rangers and Sparta Prague that we'll be keeping our eye on, not too far away from kick-off. And one of those games, and Gabriel Antoniazzi looks ahead.
It's Thursday, which means it's Europa League time, and for new Rangers boss Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, it's his first ever game, never mind in Europe, as he welcomes Sparta Prague to Ibrox this evening. Now, he watched on as the Gers were stunned by Hibernian at the weekend, but he insisted that his team are raring to go, and he seemed confident ahead of the tie.
We have to make sure we are defensively much more focused, much more compact, and you know, for me, the defending part of the game is for everyone.
The Gers only have 4 points in the group so far, but they know that a victory by a 2-goal margin will progress them to the knockout stages as long as Brøndby don't beat Lyon in the group's other match. But of course, Sparta won the reverse fixture 1-0, and we know they can win here in Scotland. They hammered Celtic 4-1 in Glasgow last season. And what about the Hoops then? Well, they face the daunting task of travelling to Bayer Leverkusen. Realistically, they're going to need at least a point to be in contention going into the final group game. Ange Postecoglou's side were hammered 4-0 by the German outfit 2 months ago in Glasgow. They have improved since then, and Postecoglou wants his side to go toe-to-toe with Europe's very best. He says that's the only way they will learn.
We want to go there and not miss the opportunity to measure ourselves. You know, we want to be playing at this level consistently. We want to be qualifying for these tournaments and for the knockout stages, and we've got to measure ourselves against the best. I've always felt the best way to measure yourself is to go out there and play your football.
As I said, the Hoops have certainly improved since that fixture. They've won 8 of the 9 matches in between the 2 games. Much of that can be put down to defensive solidity, partly thanks to centre-half Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Obviously, Bayer Leverkusen, they're a very good side. It'll be a tough game for us, but you know, I think we've got belief, and we've been growing belief in the squad throughout the last few games that, you know, we can go places like over there and play our football and try and get a result.
So 2 big games this evening with even bigger rewards on the line.
Yeah, well done to Gabriel Antoniazzi out there. It's getting colder, and suddenly, you know, the shorts, the trousers might be short, but the scarf's out. Tom, he's starting to make sure he's warm.
You can't wear a scarf and pedal pushers. It looks utterly ridiculous. We need to have a stern word with him.
Yeah, we have. I've been trying for the last couple of years, but he has highlighted the fact that this is a Celtic side that are going to be really up against it. Cameron Carter-Vickers, would you give him a permanent deal? He's open to making the move permanent. Has he done enough for you?
He's done enough on the football part. I just don't know how much what we're talking about, what they're talking about. You know, Celtic have been, you know, very cagey and paying, you know, anything over the odds. But certainly, I think you've got to sit and look at it. What much would it cost us to replace him? You know, and then value, you know, what his wages are and everything. But certainly since he's came, he's been the best of the centre-halves that have been playing.
Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall at Tottenham. They don't want him. He's been on 7 loan moves, Tam. So I think he wants to, at 23, maybe settle down and get 2 or 3 years under his belt. And at 23, if he has a good couple of years at Celtic, putting himself in the window, you never know.
Exactly, and I think he's looked after maybe the whole defence had a bit of a wobbly start. They seem to have settled in a wee bit, but you know, I think the big guy looks decent. You know, although for me, Tony Ralston's still the man. I think he's brilliant. What a transformation in a guy. You know, he was. You know, some folk were just joking at the defensive lineup that Celtic had at the start of the season. Folk were sneering at it. You know, and Tony Ralston was part of that, but. I just think he's a player and a half now.
Well, I think it's great testimony to the boy and his resilience and his belief that there was something there for him. It was in many people's eyes, including his, last chance saloon. But I think when you get to the point where I'm told Chris McCart was saying to his agent, look, he'll be the only right back at the club. This is the perfect opportunity for him before Juranovic came in.
Yeah, and he's grabbed it, as Tam said, you know, for a young player, and let's not kid ourselves on, he was very, very young when he came into the Celtic team, you know, and they had a lot of big players playing. He was out on loan to 2 or 3 clubs, which isn't great for your confidence, you know, but to come back and say, right, you're going to be the starter, you know, all credit to him, because he must have been pretty nervous. You know, this is, as you say, my last chance. I've got to do everything right, and he has done everything right. He's been absolutely superb, and he saved Celtic a lot of money.
Did either of you know when that started? Was it in your time when players going on loan? I don't think that's something that's been in football like for day one almost. You know, that must have been a fairly recent development, was it?
No, I think you've had players going on loan in some cases. Yeah, they would. Yeah, because Kenny Dalglish got loaned out to Cumbernauld United. You know, they used to loan the players out to the juniors as well.
All right.
You know, it was ongoing in the 60s. It's been a while. But
can I suggest some presents for Ruffy?
I think it's fantastic.
I stuck up that way. You can maybe get that photo up. I'll just keep it private to you. Then it was a cracker. Mind that back in the day.
Belter that, by the way. That was Ruffy's Hawaiian shirt.
It was.
That he gave me.
And I was asking on my Instagram what Ruffy would maybe like as a present. A lot of folk making a joke about how you preferred last year's birthday. But we've already done that one. Somebody just saying I'd described you as a pair of roasters. I says I'm on with this pair of roasters a day at 4 o'clock, and somebody getting back with a Snyder right away, sitting there with boot cut jeans calling folk roasters. I forgot a day jeans on. I wouldn't look right in skinny jeans. Happy birthday, Ruffy. This was Shug Miller. Hey Tam, just for a special occasion like this, do you think Ruffy could come off the fence today? This guy's wanting you to have an opinion. Gowser just says, how about a decent haircut?
Oh, got one.
Okay, look at that. Come on, he's 70.
They've been threatening me to get it short, so I just did it.
Still got a decent head of hair there for a man your age. I think that's fine. Brownie said, how about a copy of the single The Lion Sleeps Tonight by Tight Fit?
Yes.
Ruffy's apparently got a story that he once told in the show with you and Peter about an encounter when he was on Top of the Pops in 1982.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why I read it. Aye.
It was. I mean, by the way, that day that you were on Top of the Pops, the entire Scotland team, I think these were well over the limit, weren't you?
Yeah, they had nowhere to go, and I don't know if Tam's been down there, but the only place to go is eating the BBC canteen, which unfortunately has a bar. So if you let 22 guys loose in a bar with 4 hours to kill, it's a recipe for disaster.
Was Gordon McQueen there?
I think Gordon was there, aye.
Yeah.
But
John Robertson was definitely
he was
there.
the worst.
Yeah.
He was the worst. Him and Wieza are the worst. And I've said on numerous occasions, if you get a chance to see that video when Gordon Sinclair hands the ball to John Robertson at the end, he has not a clue where he is.
And when did you know that? When did you and Glenn Hoddle know that Tight Fit it was on?
Well, obviously in the canteen. 4 hours to.
Yeah, you know that the 3 people, the 3 models. So one of them was a male model, and the other 2 girls. None of them could sing.
Yep. And can I also tell you that none of them got paid either?
Is that right?
They were just a front. They had no deal, they had no agent, they had nobody, they just got appearance money.
Wow, that's lousy, isn't it? Because I know the guy, I think it was a German guy who actually produced it and sang on it.
Must be a German theme here, because Boney M, are they not the same? They never sang a note.
That's right. There was a group that came on at Top of the Pops and never, it was all miming, it was no...
Well, it's like Milli Vanilli, isn't it? The 2 guys who suddenly couldn't sing it.
Pagram Tick says a packet of prophylactics.
All right.
For Mr. Ruffy, very posh.
Yeah.
Somebody else here is saying, they'll give him a second name check. How about a voucher for Taylor Ferguson, and for his 70, Ruffy gets the perm redone.
It's not long enough now.
You haven't got enough hair, haven't you?
Harm.
Although you've still kept the mullet, Ruffy, which I think is great.
It's not really a mullet, really. Like, the mullets are things away down
the back of your neck.
But you've still kept that kind of style of a mullet.
It's the same style.
Is it a wee bit of hairspray in that, or is it just naturally?
Nothing, no gel. No, even when I go to the hairdresser, none. Don't blow it dry.
Last one, you'll need to tell me the story behind us. Scott Stubbs says, how about a signed pair of Ian Andrews gloves? He took one for the team and spared Ruffy's blushes.
Yeah. Tell him what happened on the day that Rangers thumped Celtic 5-1, Ruffy.
Yeah, well, I played in the morning for Celtic reserves against Rangers reserves. I think we won 2-1, but in the last 5 minutes of the game, I got kicked in the side of my cheek. My cheekbone got broken, so I get rushed to Ross Hall for an operation. And in the afternoon, it was the Rangers Celtic game, the 5-1 game.
Oh, right.
And Ian Andrews played that day.
But Big Billy was thinking about playing you in that game, was he?
Yeah, he was got. Well, obviously I played in the morning. If I come
when it was 4-1.
When it was 4. Well, I know the point you're making, because when Ian, I used to share a room with him, and I said to him that he was going to be playing at Ibrox, and I'd said to him, look, this is a big game. And as I said, the punchline as he went on the bus was he didn't know what was about to happen.
Yes.
Didn't know what all the fuss was about.
If anybody's wanting to see the photo, by the way, including my cousin William Webb in Australia,
yes,
who never misses a show, and he doesn't even know I'm on social media, at the real Tam Cowan on Instagram. Get it here. It's a great photo, the three is.
It is a good one. Okay, so we will bring you, as soon as it drops, Celtic starting 11. Remember, that's a 5:45 kickoff for that match by Leverkusen against Celtic. I think it could be another one of those nights behind the couch, Ruffy. I think Bayer Leverkusen will leather them.
Well, that's why I was saying, yesterday when we were talking about, it's okay having a plan A and attacking football, and it's great, but there's got to be a time when you say to yourself, right, this team hammered us the last time, let's be a wee bit more disciplined, let's, go and attack, no doubt, but let's show everybody we can defend as well, because we used to sit in the areas, when was it PSG won 7-0 and Barcelona won 7-0, and it's no good viewing getting hammered like that. I think you've got to show people that you can defend, and I'm sure they can defend. Yeah. But they've got to show people when they go to these games they're not going to get turned over 4 and 5-0. I don't think they will.
How did the game at Parkhead pan out?
4-0.
Oh, was it 4-1? That's right. Aye.
So I think it could be. I think it could be 3 again. But by the way, these are the games where you're willing to take an absolute battering on social media from Celtic fans if it doesn't turn out that way, because I thought Real Betis would beat Celtic comfortably, and suddenly they were 2-0 up.
Yeah,
and you're thinking, well, fair play to Celtic, they played a particular way. I thought you should have changed maybe their style on it, but Ange Postecoglou is winning people over, and rightly so. I always thought he was going to need time. I still think he needs time in the January window, Tam, to get a defence to make it even more. There's something not right there yet.
It's still, I always see it as a Motherwell fan. Celtic coming forward against Motherwell, you think they're going to score. They've got so many players that can create and that can score. However, you get the ball at their end and you think, we've got a wee chance here, because undoubtedly their defence isn't as strong as their attack. Of that there is absolutely no doubt. But, maybe Celtic could go the other night, hold out, get maybe a wee point, and that'd put them in a great position with Real Betis to come next, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now, Alan Brown says, can you pass on my best birthday wishes to Alan Ruff, and he sent us a couple of cracking photographs, and I had a wee look at them, and one of them is what can only be described, Ruffy, as you looking like let me try and keep this within the parameters of decency. You look like somebody out of a German rock group, put it that way.
The perm with the moustache?
Yes. I don't know what was influencing you to get a moustache. You do not look good with a moustache. Here's the Celtic starting 11. Hart in goal. Ralston, Carter, Vickers, Welsh and Juranovic, because they're a familiar four to it. Beaton, McGregor, Forrest, Turnbull, Jota and Kyogo. What do you make of that, Ruffy?
Well, the settled side, isn't it? He's identified his best 11, and if they're all fit, he's getting them on the park. And it is an attacking lineup, good to watch if you're a supporter. I'm sure we all want to see attacking football. but they really need to go away and play a decent game tonight. I don't think they'll get beat 3-0. I think 1 or 2-1, something like that would be a good result. It would show that there's improvement for the last game.
Yeah, but you think it's going to be 2-1?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 3-0. What about you?
Well, you reminded me, I'd forgotten just how bad it had been.
In fact, I'll go 3-1, Tam. I think Celtic might score.
Right. I think 2-0.
2-0, okay. John Strzelecki has mentioned the point that, John, we will get to very shortly with regards to distribution of money. As far as Rangers are concerned against Sparta Prague, this one I think is one of those games I'm really looking forward to watching it. I don't think we'll see the real Rangers under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst until maybe late January. So he's just got to try and steady the ship, be cautious tonight, Ruffy, and then pick their moments to somehow get past Sparta Prague. This is a tough one.
It's a tough one, and the form that Rangers have been on, particularly in Europe, hasn't been impressive. I think the Rangers fans will remember the Malmo games. I mean, Malmo beat Rangers quite comfortably, and you look where they are in that Champions League. 1 point, getting hammered by everybody. So it just shows you the level that you're at when you go into Europe. But again, it's on the night, it's at home, big fan base behind you, you get an early goal, the whole place lifts. They need to score, I think, early. The fans will remember the weekend, and if they go behind, it'll just sort of get worse and worse. But so I can't see Rangers winning by 2 goals. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm really wrong, because we all want our teams obviously to go further. But in the form that Rangers are in just now, they're conceding goals, so that means they've got to score 3 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Rangers. What are you going, Ruffy?
I'm 1 each.
Tam?
I'm just wondering if, under the floodlights, midweek, European tie, they have now got the new manager in. He'll not be taking the blame for what happened against Hibs, for the fans, of course.
Yeah.
He has an idol.
He will be offering his tuppence worth now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. So this, if you like, this is him starting.
Yeah.
And what a way to start with a big European tie. So yeah, I think they can put that semi-final. I mean, it was astonishing. I don't think anybody was sitting watching it. It was, 3-0 in 37 minutes. It was unbelievable. And yeah, I've been there as a Motherwell fan. I'm sure the Hibs fans, they were shaking in their shoes, because when Rangers did get that goal back, you think, oh, here we go. They're just going to collapse. They're just going to panic. But it was astonishing, particularly when you think Hibs then got to Ross County and lose last night. That's why that's why we love it, probably. It's a lot of times it's so unpredictable. But I've got a wee sneaky feeling for Rangers now. I think they might just get it 1-0.
37 minutes, as Tam mentioned there. How many minutes was it when you were 4-0 up on Celtic? Can you remember?
Yeah, about 38, 39.
Aye, was it? Yeah. It's just one of those things that just everything seemed to go right. Predicted 11 for Rangers, Ruffy. Here's a kind of a look at what we think is the bog standard. I'm not too sure about Balogun at centre half at the moment. Sometimes I think he can be a wee bit rash. Barisic I like, Tavernier, Goldson there. Kamara and Davis solid as ever, and then you've got Aribo, Hadji, Kent without any flicks. If you watched them training, I don't think Roy Mackay's having any of that. And Sakala up front.
Yeah, I think that's a good side. That's a strong side. If that's what he picks, I think a lot of the fans are anxious to see what he does with Patterson. And Tavernier, he might have a different view that this is a boy for the future and he's going to be here long term. So I need to see what he can do in this level of competition. So tonight's team selection at Rangers will be an eye opener for a lot of the Rangers supporters. I know he's only trained with them 2 or 3 days, but he'll have saw at the weekend at the Hibs games the guys that he really wants on his side.
Yeah. Okay. This one from
what about Morelos? Is he
will be on the bench?
You reckon he'll be on the bench? Aye.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
This one here from John Strzelecki says, Peter, what's the panel's take on all the chat down south about how the money is distributed to smaller clubs? Now, I think this is obviously on the back of the news story about the independent group that's going to look and try and be put together to try and police this, owners buying clubs, whether they are right and proper and fit and proper as well. And then how the clubs spend their money. Derby County have got themselves in some serious trouble financially. It happened to Bolton Wanderers as well. So I think an independent panel or group that will try and offer their advice and be able to take action against any clubs who basically break financial rules as well, Ruffy. And then they're looking at, restructuring and trying to get a fairer distribution of money, or, whether it's for the grassroots football or clubs lower down the leagues. I think all of that is great if you've got a huge kitty of money coming in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think you were talking about our league.
No, this is the Premier League in England. They're trying it. This is what they're putting forward at the moment to get some radical changes to the game, the way it's governed, and also the way money's distributed.
Yeah, I think the money distribution is something that we should be looking at everywhere. And I know we're not talking about up here, but I would like to see it a lot more going down the leagues. I think if you get a chance to see the distribution at the end of the year, the top level to down at the Division 2, the money that gets dispersed, and we all want to see Scottish football doing well at all levels, but until that happens, it won't be. But down in England, there's far too many billionaires down there, don't want to be dictated to,
and Peter,
they want to look after their own stuff.
What chance have you got a level share of money when you can't even sort it with an allocation of tickets, like the forthcoming Celtic Hibs final, which is utterly preposterous. Hibs historically, I know you'll already have covered that this week, but Hibs historically do trap for a final. Fans of all clubs trap for a final, and it's no use saying, but what about the semi? How many Celtic fans travel to the semi-final compared to Seville?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fans always come out for a final.
I would like it set in stone, Tam. If you set in stone at the start of the season and say, look, from now on, the final's going to be a 50-50 split. If it's not a 50-50, once it's a 50-50 split, if one of the clubs then says, okay, we can't sell the final section,
pass them over, and that's it, with plenty of time. And they've still got time to do that, incidentally. We're still in November. The final isn't it December the 19th. They still have time to sort that. I've got no doubt that Hibs would easily take up their full allocation as well, a 50-50 split. And you need to remember as well, this is a cup final. There's meant to be a sense of neutrality about it. The final has already been played in Celtic's home city. It's effectively just down the road for Parkhead. It's like another home game for Celtic, and they now have this unfair advantage when it comes to tickets. The whole thing just stinks. It really does.
Well, can I ask you this then? Is there enough time to set up a WhatsApp group, have a vote, and then change things? Can Ruffy and Dundee somehow get a vote in there to change it?
No, there is time to change it. You've got weeks yet. I know it's not going to happen now, but I just think it's so unfair.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that's not the only problem. We've now got another problem, which Rangers have released a statement with regards to... this is statement number 554. But nevertheless, I think they've got a very good point to make on this. Hearts have cut the allocation for Rangers fans to just over 1,000. Rangers had 11,000 requests for tickets for the game on December 12th. This is the club's statement regarding the allocation. The away allocation for a match against Hearts on the 12th of December is just over 1,000 tickets, which is significantly lower than previous visits to Tynecastle. Rangers has expressed its disappointment regarding the reduced allocation and requested additional tickets are made available if possible. The demand for tickets for this match is exceptionally high, with nearly 11,000 registrations received. This has created very difficult conditions for the ticket allocation process. Well, I actually, at times I lose faith in this country and the way we are continually squabbling. I can't believe it. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record, Ruffy, but it was started by your mob at Easter Road. Your mob started it with that stupidity over Hearts and cutting the allocation to one end and then suddenly reducing it. And then all of a sudden, would you believe it, through in the West, Rangers started it with Celtic. Celtic then tit for tat back with them. I've never known a country with so many petty-minded owners, chairmen, chief executives, I don't care who it is, they all get together and think, how can we stick it up the opposition now because they've done this?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, but I think the people who should stand up and be counted are the people who run the show, the SPFL. They should be telling these clubs, this is the rules. The rules are there in black and white, whatever band it is, an A, a C, B or a C, whatever, how many you're allowed, and they should be coming out and saying, look, we don't care what you are thinking, this is a rule, you have to let whatever percentage is in to away games, and they all have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
There's no a leader. There's nobody strong enough to stand up and bully them.
So that you can't do
Tell
it
them.
on a game-by-game basis.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
have the rules absolutely coherent, so that everybody knows what exactly must be done. The thing is as well, I've got a couple of ways of looking at this, Peter. I mean, first, I'm guessing that Hearts will say they're looking after their own fans. They do obviously have a huge fan base, loads of season ticket holders, but I would remind Hearts of what the atmosphere was like when they played Hibs at Tynecastle, and they gave them that entire stand behind the goals, and there was 4,000 Hibs fans there, and the place was absolutely rocking. And again, did Hearts win that one?
Can't remember
near Canard, but if Hearts won that one, I think they did, then of course, no, that was the one that was 0-0. Craig Gordon
just a
was
couple of wonder saves.
absolutely out of this world, right? It was 0-0, but the place was absolutely rocking. I bet you that if Hearts managed to get a result against Rangers, the Hearts fans would immediately wish there were more Rangers fans in there for the Jambos to enjoy it, you know what I mean? But I just...
But we're losing the sense of what football's about.
I know, absolutely. And you know what angers me really about this, and I agree with every point you made there. We're saying all this on the back of us having that long spell for the first time ever in the history of Scottish football when fans weren't allowed into the stadiums. When everybody's absolutely choking to get back, and we're putting these obstacles, these hurdles in our way, and it's awful. It's really awful.
It's okay saying, right, we're looking after our own fans, but what you're doing is you're stopping your own fans from going to away games. Because the team that says you're not getting are going to do likewise.
Absolutely.
So you could be as well saying to your own fans, look, forget about going to away games, because we're not going to get any tickets.
But that's a different issue again. It's another issue that takes it on. But if that were to be the case, you would suddenly see all these chief executives start to really sweat when suddenly Rangers and Celtic don't come to games. A Hearts or a Hibs start to hit a poor run. Their fans don't want to come to the game. And suddenly when they make 6,000 tickets available, the Rangers and Celtic fans don't take it.
Because I'll tell you what, it was almost a split at Fir Park last week when we beat Hearts. Hearts had a brilliant support. I was only too happy to take a couple of pictures of it. The South Stand was absolutely rocking. I think it was almost a 50-50 split on the day with the Motherwell fans. And there's absolutely no doubt, A, first and foremost, every penny a prisoner. Motherwell would have cashed in on that, of course. And B, it just made the atmosphere so much better.
Robert says, I don't agree with you guys. It's the fans who support football all the time that should get tickets, not the glory hunters. Listen, Robert, there's a logical answer for this. You can batter it away non-stop. Fans who go all the time, there's a huge demand. Fans who travel to away games as well, they want to be able to try and go to the final. My sympathy lies with the fact that if you get a Hibs situation where there are fans who would love to take their kids and have never seen a Hibs win, for example, the Scottish Cup final, it would be immense.
Motherwell sold 33,000 tickets for the 91 final. 33,000 tickets. Now that was grannies, expats, boys that lived in your street that had never been to Fir Park for years. That is the very essence of a cup final. That is what happens. Look at when St Johnstone won the double. You know, there's guys there that have never been back anywhere near McDermott Park who were there that day. So I'm assuming this guy's a Celtic fan because he's no up for Hibs getting a fair allocation. Every club's got glory hunters. The upper tier was famously closed when Ronnie Dyler was at Celtic Park, and then it magically reopened when they got a proper manager in, you know. So every club, if Albion Rovers suddenly get into the Challenge Cup final, Albion Rovers, it seems incredible to think, would have glory hunters, folk for Coatbridge who would go along hoping to see them winning a trophy. But the cup final is meant to be neutral. It's meant to be a neutral venue. We've not got any great options with the stadium that we have in Scotland. So the final has already been played in Glasgow, Celtic's home city. If anything, to level that out, Hibs should get more tickets than Celtic to bring in a wee bit of balance.
Look at his face. I love the noise up. Listen, there's another element to this as well. Billy says, Peter, Rangers have banned BBC journalists, fans and now pundits, so you're starting to see a trend here. Well, I don't want to get dragged into that because listen, they banned a significant amount of the press as well, Rangers, and they do what they do at the moment. But what I would say is, whether it's a pundit who's been banned, journalists, and we're all banned from domestic press conferences because nobody's going to pay the money they're demanding. And of course, BBC have been banned for a long, long time.
Well, for clarity, BBC haven't been banned. They withdrew Chris McLaughlin's accreditation.
Yes.
But the BBC clearly stood behind their man.
Yes, absolutely. I stand corrected, and I think you're right to point out the intricacies of the fallout in the first place. What I would say, Ruffy, is that's just one element of a whole chain of, how can I put it, a whole raft of different incidents that make our country and our clubs and our organisation look backward, petty-minded, and of course I think it actually hampers our ability to actually project our country in the right way and our organisations in the right way to attract sponsors and big money to help the clubs. I think all the squabbling, 2 years of it, it's just gone to another level. We've squabbled for 100 years or so, more than that, but I think in the last couple of years it's got to the stage where that point that we're just talking about from Rangers' perspective is just one of a number of issues that have reared their ugly head that make, I think, major sponsors look and go, why would we first of all invest in a tin pot league where they're all backstabbing each other?
Yep. 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's a stripper. Yeah. Brilliant. That's a great. Oh, Ruffy, your eyes lit up as I'm absolutely slaughtering Scottish football.
But it gets back to looking after their own, because they think with what they're doing, the supporters buy into everything, and they do buy into everything. You know, that's their bonus, that they're now into all the Rangers media stuff, and they're not caring about everybody else. It becomes a sage mentality.
Yeah.
That it's no, we don't care about everybody else. But that can't go on forever and ever. And again, I go back to our leaders who are nowhere to be seen, who should be doing something about all these things.
SPFL should be doing something. Neil Doncaster is the chief executive of a group of people who dictate to him what to do. He is merely a mouthpiece for the clubs. It should be an independent group who are commissioned to look for the benefit of everyone and then move it forward that way with I think it needs a new set of rules, Tam.
Yep.
It changes the attitude of all the clubs.
Yeah, and you need to wipe out the pettiness, as you say, Peter. We've actually got no a bad wee product these days. You know, there's been quite a few things to tickle your fancy if you've tuned into Scottish football this season. And as I say, it's also very unpredictable. Don't think anybody would have gone for Hibs 3-0 up in half an hour against Rangers at the weekend.
Yeah.
And then in the back of that, I don't think there's been many folk with Ross County in their cooking last night. But, you know, these wee stories, these wee surprises, they spring up from time to time. And it's actually a decent product. And whenever I'm out and about, and it'll happen tonight, I'm going out to watch the Rangers game in the telly somewhere, and I'm sure I'll stone and have a drink next to Rangers fans. The fans and all that got on fine. Fans got on great. They can have a laugh and a joke.
Yeah.
You know, but it seems that just at club level, there's all this going on. You know, it's not very nice.
No. Okay, we'll leave it there. We've said our piece on several occasions, and we'll continue to highlight, you know, the madness of Scottish football on a daily basis. As far as some of the positives, Robbie Nielsen was talking about John Souttar. Will he stay at Hearts? I'd love him to stay in Scotland. I'd love him to stay at Hearts, Robbie. I think he's a really good player, but he's going to want to cash in at some point. Now, he could leave in the summer for nothing. Robbie Nielsen has mentioned today, if he is leaving in the January window, it's going to be for a big amount of money.
Yeah, look, John's coming into that period, his contract where he can speak to the teams, they can speak to him, but at this moment in time he's still a Hearts player. You know, we're having good negotiations with him, you know, and we'll try as hard as we can to get him. And like I said, if he does decide that it's time for him to move on, you know, either take a huge bid in January for that to happen, or he'll see his contract.
It's an interesting take on it from Robbie Nielsen. It'll take a huge bid to get, you know, John Souttar out.
But we don't know what that figure is, you know.
6 months of his deal left,
exactly, I know. But he's got to be looking after his club, you know, if the player's leaving. But the player's got to look after himself, you know. He's had 3 bad injuries. There's no guarantee it's not going to come back again. So I'm like you, I don't know what clubs are involved, but certainly there will be a few clubs down in England, and they'll be offering a lot more what Hearts are offering.
Yeah, a couple of players I want to mention. One of them is David Templeton. He played for Hearts as well.
Good wee player.
He's had to retire at 32 years of age. So I know David, great lad. His actual dad was a great player as well, Harry.
Yeah.
He was really skillful.
Yep, fantastic.
Henry,
Henry, I played with
Harry
Henry. I don't know.
I don't know.
I was wondering, man. Playing with the
Henry.
right person.
Yeah.
Yes, I played with Henry at Ayr United for a year. A character, traditional Jimmy Johnson. You know, he had all the skill in the world, and not the motivation to be a professional footballer. But you know, a joy to watch. I mean, I could tell you.
Ruffy just kidded at Davey's dad. But I know where you're coming from, because I played against him when he was 60 and he still won man of the match. He was magnificent.
Oh, unbelievable. He was that crowd pleaser.
Aye.
But he didn't have a lot of confidence, because obviously when you played against teams, somebody would mark him.
Yeah.
And they would just mark him out the game, and he didn't have the know-how or the nous, you know, how to get away. And I used to say to him, like, just go on another side of the park. Just take whoever's marking you at the road. If you're not playing well, it means they're a man down as well. But he was a great wee guy to be with.
In terms of the sad news, obviously, about his boy, David Templeton, in terms of him being able to cherish memories, would I be right in saying that he scored at Anfield? When Hearts went down there?
Oh, that's a great shout. I think Jambo would need to tell us about that one.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
And on the Jambos as well, you know, we're talking about everybody being a wee bit nicer and forgetting pettiness. Ruffy said he reckons it was 3 bad injuries that John Souttar had. Is there an argument for John signing a deal to make sure that Hearts get money when or if they do sell him, as a wee thank you to the club that looked after him?
Well, that's
so
your
brilliantly.
head kicking in, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, it was the same thing. David Turnbull effectively did the same, which is why we ended up getting £3.25 million.
Yes.
You know, but I just wonder if, you know, I'm somebody that likes a wee episode of Little House on the Prairie and all that. You know, I'm somebody that likes a wee tear in my eye. I just think it'd be a nice gesture for John. He's going to have a great career no matter what. He is going to get down to England no matter what. But maybe he should just say, you know what, thanks Hearts, you looked after me. Here's my signature, I want to look after you.
That's the second time I've heard Little House on the Prairie mentioned in the last 2 days.
Is it?
Yeah, because my daughter obviously wants to wear lots of trendy gear as she heads towards her teens, and my best mate said, look, your dad wants you to wear Little House in the Prairie dress up to your neck and down past your ankles, calm your jets. Little House in the Prairie, I never thought we'd get that on the show. One big blow as well for St Mirren I've got to mention is Conor McCarthy. Jim Goodwin, I think rightly so, is gutted that he could be out for a significant period of time.
Unfortunately, the results of the scan weren't great, so he's due to see a specialist this afternoon, and there's a possibility that we need to pencil him in for an operation next week. You know, it's not something that we don't think is going to keep him out for, for 3 or 4 months, but I would imagine it'll probably be between the 6 to 8 week bracket. So that'll take him into the new year.
Well, that's a blow, because he scored an absolute belter of a goal, I think against Rangers with his right foot.
And ever since then he's been a star man, you know, and obviously international recognition as well. And St Mirren don't have that many players in their pool to lose somebody like him will be a dull one.
Yeah, here's a lady you know, Margaret Gribben, solicitor.
Yes.
She mentioned that Scottish clubs...
Is there a solicitor he won't know?
Brilliant, Tom. Scottish clubs could fine unvaccinated players. She said they'd be on solid ground to penalise unvaccinated players. That's one of those situations where Margaret might say that and the players might think agree with it. There's always one lawyer who says to somebody, listen, I think you've got a good case if you don't want the jag.
Yeah, I think Margaret's... I think she's associated with the Players' Union. So obviously it's a joint thing, you know. They believe that as many footballers get vaccinated, the better it is for everybody else. That's their policy. As you're saying, somebody else might disagree with that, so there has to be a sort of a go-between.
Okay, last night I watched Man City against PSG. It was absolutely fantastic. There was a moment in the game, Tam, where Paris Saint-Germain...
I watched it.
Paris Saint-Germain play the ball in the 6-yard area.
Yeah, tippy-tappy stuff.
Out of the box against Man City. I was looking at him thinking to myself, we We don't see that sort of football up here in Scotland.
No, you don't. It was mesmerising, you know, and these guys as well, they're maybe only £200 a week, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
What would have been, I'd love to get it, what would have been the lowest, what do you think the lowest weekly wage of anybody who took part in that game last night? Would you think that would be the lowest?
The lowest weekly wage has got to be $100,000.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah,
incredible.
Ruffy, do you know the funny thing is, as we approach the end of the programme, I think it's only right and proper. You're 70 years of age. For the benefit of anyone who's under a certain age, who looks at you and thinks, "Oh, there's Ruffy, good laugh, pundit, never seen you play." I reckon if you were a goalkeeper now that somebody was going to have to buy, a pretty penny to get you. I mean, obviously, if Bertie was alive, you'd still be at Thistle and there's no moving. You'd go on a 10-year contract.
No, but I don't have a grudge against any modern day player getting money out of the game, because if somebody's prepared to get it, then you take it.
I think you'd be 40, 50 million, Ruffy.
No, you're exaggerating.
Well, you would have been 53 caps for Scotland.
Exactly.
You're a great player.
Yeah.
3 World Cups.
But more importantly, that's 2 minutes now.
Where is she? And I mentioned Bertie, and the reason I mentioned Bertie to finish off is I think a lot of Celtic fans will be heading to the Celtic walkway just to say their farewells to Bertie. I thought there was a lovely tribute on STV from Bernard Ponsonby, who basically mentioned the fact of, if Billy McNeil was puffing his chest out and he was seen as the leader and Jimmy Johnson that character, certainly the spirit of the Celtic support was Bertie Auld, and I think thousands upon thousands of fans will want to just pay their last respects to a great man. I certainly loved having him in here on more than a few occasions in our old studio as well. He was always willing to come in, talk about Lisbon. It never tired him out, never tired of signing autographs for the fans and giving us some great stories. And I think it'll be quite emotional for a lot of people when they see the funeral cortege go past Celtic Park one last time.
Absolutely. As I say, apart from the time he was on the radio with me, there was 2 or 3 other events that I was MCing, and 2 of them in particular for St Cadoc's football club, boys and girls. And Bertie and other people had been invited along. The minute you saw Bertie, and the bottom line was, if you were thinking, right, I need to get 2 or 3 guys up to pull the raffle or do whatever, if Bertie Auld was in the audience, you think banker, because you knew you'd get something back out of Bertie. It might be a gag, it might be a song, as it invariably was, but just wanted it. And you know, and I think the tributes speak for themselves, Peter. You know, right across the board, they've been absolutely brilliant, whether it was silence, applause, whatever it might have been, just spot on. And I'm sure his family must take an incredible amount of comfort for the love that came out for him, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. The only downside to me, Ruffy, is if you ever turned up at an event and Bertie was there, if there was only one radio mic, you were in big trouble, because as soon as you handed it over, it was at least 8 or 9 minutes before you were getting it back. That's the song, that's getting everybody involved, that's a bit of patter. It was magnificent.
Yeah, he presented me, as I've told this story, my induction into the SFA Hall of Fame, and it was Bertie. It was presenting the trophy to me, and it took me 10 minutes to get it off him and the mic.
And Stephen,
can I just say there'll be tributes at Partick Thistle tomorrow as well, and at Easter Road.
Great, that's a great shout, Ruffy.
And at Easter Road.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because he was twice the manager at Partick Thistle, and of course the Hibs fans will remember him with great fondness as well.
And is that, I know Rangers put up the Walters Memorial service, an hour and a half, which was absolutely brilliant viewing. You salute everybody that took part in that. They were great. The speeches were immense. A mixture of kind of love and a mixture of humour and all that. It just blended beautifully. What about Bertie's do? Is that going to be streamed?
Yeah, you can see it on YouTube for the club's YouTube channel, so I think everybody will enjoy that. Last word on his 70th birthday, Steve McNamara says, "My dad has just said Ruffy would comfortably be an EPL keeper." Stephen, I can tell you right now, your dad knows what he's talking about. Ruffy, I hope you have a great night tonight with your family.
I certainly will. Yes, and thank everybody for their messages.
Yeah, you're gutted that you're gutted that Elsie's not coming
Is
through
that
that
door have you locked the door?
see, you mentioned it. You put the thought in his
He's
head.
thinking, I wonder if they did. I wonder if they did.
Absolutely.
We couldn't, of course, show it live on
No,
here.
of
So
course
just
they shouldn't.
Calm
Yes,
your
calm
jets.
down.
Stay where you are. Sorry we can't show it, but
there were no women left, sadly.
we'll get pictures.
But he's a smashing guy.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Robbie. From myself, Peter Martin. Enjoy your football tonight. Fingers crossed we get 2 positive results, Rangers and Celtic. Good night.